Okay, so here's a little bit more thorough example of getting in a car, getting out the car. Um, I basically have what we had before where you get in, but I've tweaked it a little bit so it's more, I guess, like Grand Theft Auto where you get in the car, your character goes away, you come out, um, things like that. If you go inside our player controller, this is kind of, as you see, it's more complicated, but that's because that's the behavior. Rather than anywhere in the level, you have to be near the car. So I started out with a simple Boolean variable for in vehicle, so if we know if we've driven, if we're getting in or getting out, basically. So if we're not in the vehicle, we're going to get our pawn, which when we start our level is this, our pawn is this character guy when we start our level. We're getting that guy. Is he overlapping with the vehicle blueprint? If he is, we'll get the first one, and we're just going to cast to our pawn, which would be that vehicle blueprint. We're going to do two things. One, we're going to store the original pawn that we started with. So in that case, that's our character guy. So the first thing we want to do is we want to store the old one. So that's what this is. This is a pawn reference. So um, so if you don't know about pawn references, is you go over here and you do pawn. This isn't pawn. Whoops. And then under this type, you want to make sure you do reference because it's a specific one. So that's what that original pawn was. It's a pawn reference. Whoops. And delete. Um, and then once we know what the original guy was, we're going to put him as hidden. He also has collision, like you will be able to run into him, but you won't be able to see him. You could do something like set collision profile, or you could just say, hey, he's invisible, and I don't want anything to collide with an invisible body. But I'll just leave that how it is for now. And then the next thing we're going to do is with that overlapping vehicle, we're then going to possess it, and then we're going to say we're in the vehicle. And then let's say you go drive around, and then you want to get out. So in this case, in vehicle should be set to true because we set it true here. We're going to get that vehicle, because remember your pawn can transfer to different things. So now the pawn, as it's referring to here, in the second one, the pawn is actually this go-kart car thing. We're going to get its location because let's say he got in and then he drove off. So we want to get its new location. And in this case, I'm just adding an offset. So I'm just saying I want to be a little bit to the side and in front of the car when I get out. And then I want to spawn on top, like more upwards. Because you don't want to spawn in the exact location, but just around the car. So we're gonna get our original pawn. So we're gonna get this guy. We're going to get this guy. We're going to give him a new location, so that's what we're doing there, and we're moving him. And then we're going to say, okay, we're going to repossess our original pawn. We're going to make him visible again, and then we're going to say we're not in the vehicle anymore. So, and that's basically it. The only thing I had to change is if you look on this vehicle blueprint, by default, there is no collision box. So I had to do a new component, collision, new box collision, and then I just said enter box, so you could say entrance box or something. And then you need to make sure the overlap event, the generate overlap events. If this isn't checked, then your guy, when you go to enter, then it'll just say nothing will happen because it's not generating overlap events. But since that's checked, it should be able to detect that you're overlapping. So when you go to play, you go up here, you press, in this case I bound it to 1 to enter, it'll detect that it was overlapping. You'll see that the old guy is no longer there. And if I go drive the little thing over here, and then I get out, I press 1 again, I spawn above and to the side, and then there you go. I go back, I hit 1 again, repossess, and whoops. And as you can see, you still collide with the original guy, so you could go back and change the collision. Whoa. That's interesting. I don't know what that was colliding with, because there's nothing over there. But you kind of get the idea. Anyways, hope this was a help.